This episode of Superhero Speak is brought to you by the Supernatural Pet Sitter. As you are aware, we at Superhero Speak love books as much as we love comics, with the Dresden Files being one of our favorites. But if you're like us and have kids who loved Harry Potter but aren't quite ready for Harry Dresden, we've got a perfect fit. In the Supernatural Pet Sitter, Pepper Neely is a gnome who communicates with animals and puts this talent to work pet-sitting the familiars of all the local witches and warlocks. But when someone starts stealing their magic, Pepper decides to take action and protect and restore these scared pets. The Supernatural Pet Sitter is the exciting new children's adventure series by Diane Mote and is available on Amazon today. So don't wait. Order a copy for that young fantasy lover in your life.
Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of three opinionated guys with mics and too much free time. Strong enough to stop a speeding movie rumor, more powerful than a bad comic book event, able to waste hours of time asking stupid questions to people who have better things to do. It's Dave, Ben, and John. It's Superhero Speak.
Hey everyone, you're listening to Superhero Speak, and I'm your host Dave.
And Ben.
And John.
Yes.
So what do we have to discuss today, Dave?
Well, we have something extremely important to discuss today.
I know there was a lot of interesting news recently, but I'm sure there's got to be something super important that we have to discuss first, right off the bat.
Yes, apparently there are cookies and cream flavored Oreos.
I'll drink to that.
What? Cookies and cream? Cookies and cream is Oreos. How do you do Oreo flavored Oreos? That's cookies inside of cookies. That's recursive cookies, Dave.
Aren't they afraid the universe is going to fold in on itself?
It's cookies all the way down. I mean, is this proof that we're living in a matrix right now? Because that's the only way I can imagine this existing. There's got to be something here. There's a glitch.
It is. It's definitely a glitch in the matrix. And yeah, I'm going to definitely order some off of Amazon right now. Oh, wait! They're currently unavailable.
Oh.
Bastards.
Well, you'll have to wait a little while, I guess.
There are a lot of weird new flavors, though.
They have been really liberal with the flavor combinations as of late. And some of them, like, I'll pass by some of them in the store and I'll be like, huh, that might be an interesting thing to try. And then others will be like, why in God's green earth does that even exist?
You know who else has been really liberal lately?
Ugh.
The people casting Deadpool, trying to cast Cable.
Yeah, they've really been all over the map on that one. It's been kind of, I mean, we've had everyone from, the Russell Crowe to Pierce Brosnan to Keira Knightley. Like, I don't even know what to expect at this point. Right.
Well, the latest rumor was they were talking about Brad Pitt, but now he's definitely out.
That would have been a weird choice anyway.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think he's old enough to play the role.
Yeah, I mean, I like Brad Pitt as an actor. He's a good actor, and I think he could play any part he wants to. But I think there's a certain age and physical archetype to the role of Cable, and he doesn't really fit it.
Right. Of course, they said their number one choice is still what's his name? The guy who played the bad guy in the Superman movie.
Oh, Michael Shannon.
God, my mind.
General Zod.
Yes, who played Zod.
I think
they said he's still top of the list, but they haven't confirmed him. And now they're saying Russell Crowe is in the mix.
Weird. I mean, Michael Shannon, I could see. I think he'd be a good fit, and it would maybe go to some extent of erasing that taste of him as Zod from our brains. But it's especially the dead version. Yeah, I don't know. Russell Crowe seems like a weird choice. I don't know what to think of that.
Yeah. Who would you pick, John?
Not really sure. No, really. I've got no idea. For Cable, I don't know. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh man. Well, he did just quit The Apprentice, so he's free.
Yeah,
but he's got the build for it.
Yeah.
And his name has been thrown out a couple times. I don't know if he's got the acting chops.
Well, how much acting chops do you need for Cable?
I just think that Cable should. I mean, no offense to Arnold. I like Arnold. He's a good guy. He's done some really interesting things, but the fact that he can't not speak with an accent. Like, I think that's,
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it would take me out of it. Like, I don't think, I'm not saying that Cable has to be, a typical American dialect, but I mean, he kind of should be, I think. It'd be weird to hear, like, a foreign accent out of that part.
Okay, then how about Dolph Lundgren?
Again, I think I go back to Dave's point before, is that I don't think he's as strong on the acting chops. Like, I haven't seen a lot of range of emotion out of him in the parts that he's played, and I think that as stoic as Cable is, he's not, concrete. Like, he does have some range of emotions.
Yes. Yeah.
I have to disagree with you on that. Dolph Lundgren actually has some acting chops.
I'll tell you, I have not yet seen Kindergarten Cop 2, so I can't really comment, but I'll take your word for it.
Well, he was He-Man, so...
No, let's forget that one, shall we?
Well, I mean, so yeah, it seems like that's still way up in the air. Much like a lot of the weird plans that Sony seems to be throwing around regarding the Spider-Man properties.
I know. What are they doing over there? We finally got Spidey into the MCU.
Right.
And then...
And they're going in already potentially flubbing it up. And look...
They're pulling on Warner Brothers.
Well, and maybe... So, here's the thing. There have been some things that... Who is it? Amy Pascal had said specifically about that they're in this for this for Homecoming and the sequel, and and Tom Holland's on board for 4 movies. But she seemed to suggest that their integration with Marvel and Disney might not span past those first 2 movies. But she didn't really say that it definitely wasn't going to go beyond that. I think that's just...
This isn't a stalled car. It's not like they can go 2 movies to get it going and then pop it.
Right. I think she's speaking to the point that they're only committed up to that point. They're in bed with Marvel and Disney right now through 2 movies. There's nothing to say that future movies will be explicitly separate from the MCU. It's just they don't want to commit to it. But the point is, why talk about it? Like, why even bring it up so that this sort of controversy is getting stirred?
Do you think it's a negotiating tactic?
I would actually spin it a different way. I don't think it's a negotiation tactic with Sony regarding their agreement with Marvel so much as there's a lot of things in the past couple of years that I almost feel like these studios float for the reaction.
Right.
And then, for the fan reaction, for us, the way we're talking right now about this, to see how we feel about it. And if, floating that out there, that idea that maybe this fizzled out after 2 movies, if there was generally a ho-hum acceptance of that idea, then they would probably feel more confident about potentially not coming back to the table after those 2 movies and trying to continue to negotiate on those points. But I'm sure they're hearing the takeaway of a lot of people saying, what the hell are you guys doing? This is ridiculous, and it'll give them some reservation. So I think they're testing these waters, but they're not necessarily on that precipice of jumping and making a decision right now.
But then they make an announcement. So the Aquaman movie got moved.
Yeah.
So in that slot, right away they go, well, that's where our Venom movie's going to go. And everyone went, what?
Venom movie?
Yeah, that just seems, that worries me a little bit. I mean, I don't know. Here's the problem with Venom in general. Venom is a very complex story, period. Venom is impossible to do to canon. It just can't happen. You can't do that. It's way too complex. You'd have to have a really long runway to do all of that. And I don't think the audience has that kind of patience. So I'm open to the idea of them doing Venom as a self-introduced character, maybe, but not outside of the world of Spider-Man completely. I could actually see a success in a Venom movie that exists in the world where Tom Holland exists without Tom Holland expressly being a part of it. And having it just be the buildup of Venom coming to be, and later deal with them clashing with Spider-Man in future movies. You know? Like, have it be a self-made origin, something unique that works and gets him established, but then maybe even have him be sort of a, it's an origin / anti-hero build-up type thing where you're not really sure which way he's going to go at the end, and then you see the dark turn, and that's how it folds into Spider-Man's next movie.
Yeah, but that the only way they're going to make a Venom movie work is if they have Carnage.
Eventually,
Because there's only one thing that turns him, one plot that would allow him the flexibility to go from a bad guy to a good guy, and that's in going against Carnage. Because if it goes against Spider-Man, he's the bad guy. If he's on his own, well, what's the motivation?
Well, that's the question, right? Are they going to start him off as a bad guy, or are they going to start him off as a good guy? If they're doing a standalone movie with him, is he going to be an anti-hero right away?
Right. That's a question. I think you could write that story where it's an origin story, where it's, it's a Eddie Brock, Venom, coming together kind of story that has little to do with Peter Parker specifically. And maybe leaves a kernel, like maybe they borrow a Spider-Man villain for him to sort of contend with, the low-level street villains or something like that he could potentially contend with. You could even go, I think that'd actually be, who would be a good, well, they're already using Shocker for Spider-Man. I was going to say Shocker would be a good pairing with him because the vibration would actually, weaken. I'm not sure who else would be a good fit there as an antithesis to Venom. But wrong universe. But yeah, I think the natural build is to introducing Carnage. And I think that's one of the things you go back and forth. So the first one, it's origin, it's establishment. Then you have Venom as sort of, going dark, going bad up against Spider-Man in some where they come together. But then you have a tease at the end of that where Carnage comes to be. And the next Venom movie, the Venom sequel, which is apart from Spider-Man again, it's actually Venom, becoming the hero, and going up against something that's worse than him.
Which would be Carnage.
Yeah. I said that. So.
Yeah. Well, maybe. But then what about the other one they haven't given a date to, but they announced was Black Cat and Silver Sable.
Yeah, I worry way too much that that's just going to be Catwoman all over again.
No.
Batman
this time there's two female leads.
There were two female leads in Catwoman. And there was a bad guy and a good guy.
Or a bad girl and a good girl.
Yes. It was Halle Berry versus Sharon Stone.
Right. No. But I'm saying, you make Black Cat the bad guy, you make Silver Sable the bad guy, or do they team up?
That's a really good question because they both have skirted the line. They both ride that gray line in the things that they do. I mean, lately, Black Cat has been on the villain side in the comics, but she hasn't always. She's allied with Spider-Man lots of times. And same with Silver Sable. Like, she's a mercenary. She does most of what she does, on contract, but she's not a bad guy per se. She gets involved with bad people, though. So I don't know. I don't know what to think of that, and I don't know how they pair them other than to try to force them into those archetypes,
Right.
So that's what concerns me, is that they may pigeonhole them, making one the hero and one the villain, and I don't think that's fitting to those characters.
Right. No, I agree. And to back up a little, I forgot about this. Have either of you seen the movie Life?
I have not seen it. That's the new one with Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Well, it's not exactly Ryan Reynolds, but
that's a origin story for Venom.
That's the rumor is that's a loose prequel for Venom.
Yeah.
Whatever the goo is in that movie comes down and becomes the symbiote.
Or the
Was
Blob.
that even a Sony movie?
What?
Was that a Sony movie?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it was.
All right.
That was a new version. That was a new version of the Blob. That's all it was. It literally was.
But the blob was derived from a cold.
Which continuity are you talking about?
I don't know, one of them. I didn't watch any of those movies. I watched one of those blob movies. It was probably a remake.
Yeah, Columbia Pictures, which is owned by Sony.
There were like 3 remakes, or 2 remakes.
Yeah. I'm just saying I saw one of them. I don't know which one it was. It was probably from the 80s.
Well, if this is any indication, the budget was $58 million and they made $51 million.
Yeah, that's not a very good take home. Well, it's still in the theaters though. It can still make money.
That's true.
It's not likely to. It's going to barely break even though.
And overseas, they'll get the Japanese tentacle contingent. So
that's true. That's true. I mean, these scary inhuman villains are very popular in some circles.
That's not what the tentacle contingent is.
I
but
know.
That's okay.
I'm trying to keep this clean-ish, and also offering Dave a segue.
Yeah, and he's trying to segue. Hey, did you guys see that they announced the Inhumans IMAX release date?
I did see that because it's in my inbox and you sent it. But yes, I'm aware that they were going to do that. I'm not probably going to see that. It seems weird to me to do. Like, I guess it's not first to do this sort of thing, but
no.
IMAX release of it so I can watch my television. Seems weird to me. Like I can't wrap. I have that kind of expendable income to go see it, to go spend like $50 at the movie theater to see something that I can see with a microwave bag of popcorn in my living room.
Right. Didn't they do that? Did they do that with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I don't think they did that with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I know they did that with some Doctor Who events over the past couple of years. I don't recall Marvel doing a thing like that in recent history. Okay.
So it's them jumping on the Doctor Who bandwagon.
No, I guess so. I mean, no CW doing that, I don't think. But
so, how are we feeling about Inhumans? Are we excited for it? Are we...
Well, I was.
Trepidatious?
I was excited about it until we talked about Iron Fist.
No. Are you taking it as a sign that they're starting to...
I'm taking it as a concern because Scott Buck is directly involved in Inhumans as executive producer.
Oh, my God.
And he was responsible for Iron Fist.
That's one of the things I'm wondering, too, because it's like, okay, so Iron Fist, you have a 13-episode arc. Now, for regular television... What?
And a low budget.
Right. But now they're giving them, 22 or 24 episodes.
Right.
For a full season of a TV show.
I mean, here's where I'm injecting optimism. He's an executive producer for Marvel's Inhumans. However, Jeff Loeb is involved, and he's made some of the better Marvel Netflix shows and been involved in those, and various other people are involved, and it's not going to be all him. The entire, running the show. He's running the show, but he's not running the entire show, so to speak. That doesn't make any sense at all. My point is that this is a different animal. There's different people involved, both behind the scenes and in the scenes. I think part of what made Iron Fist fall flat is the acting on the part of Finn Jones himself. In addition to some of the writing, and this is not necessarily the same writing staff. This is definitely not the same cast.
Okay.
So I'm giving it a benefit of the doubt, but I do have reservations.
Yeah.
Not because I have a problem with Inhumans. I like Inhumans. I just am concerned about his particular involvement.
Right, and I know we won't see anything until it gets much closer to the release to give us an idea one way or the other.
Yeah. So we got a ways to wait on that one. I'm holding out hope that it'll turn out okay.
Do you think there'll be some kind of big cliffhanger at the end of the season?
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah, that's going to lead into.
I definitely think there's going to be setup. Whether the cliffhanger is directly related to the setup for Inhumans, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it is a big. They do want to draw an audience to it, so it would make sense for them to do that. It would make sense for them to do, set it up like a spin-off.
Mm-hmm.
So like happens so often with shows where they try to do a spin-off out of a show. There's usually an episode or two where it's framing for that new show. And it would not surprise me if Marvel does that in the case of this via their current vehicle of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've been thinking they were going to do, have this spin-off. But I'm getting, nervous because the season's almost over and they haven't introduced any of the characters that are going to be in Inhumans. I mean, we don't have Black Bolt or Medusa or any of the main...
They usually don't have them on the TV shows, though.
Well, they're going to be in this show. This new show is all about those characters. They have people cast as Black Bolt, Queen Medusa, Karnak, Maximus, Gorgon, Triton, Crystal, all of the main, characters. They even have they're going to have the dog. They're going to have what's his name? Why can't I think of his name right now? What's the name of the giant dog with the tuning fork on his head? The teleports?
Lockjaw.
Lockjaw, that's it.
Why am the DC guy have to tell you that? Jeez.
I don't know. But
because neither of us ever read Inhumans.
I've read some of them. I just, for some reason, the name slipped my mind. It's like they even have a blue screen, model stand-in for Lockjaw for shooting scenery. So, because I've seen some behind-the-scenes shots have been posted to Twitter and stuff like that. So, yeah, they've got all the big names in this. But, yeah, the question is, will they introduce any of them in this season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Because on one hand, yeah, you want to set up for it. But on the other hand, you want this new show to be the introduction point for these characters. So it's kind of a catch-22. I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, my guess is going to be something stupid where there's going to be some Inhuman that they're hunting down in the last couple episodes, and at the end, Black Bolt and Medusa come down and take the Inhuman away.
Right. That it was like, hey, we can give him Sanctum or whatever. Right. Sanctuary, because we've got a whole floating city or something.
Exactly.
That we didn't tell you about. So.
Yeah. I mean, you guys don't need to worry about that. Right. Don't go to the dark side of the moon.
Oh, and by the way, Hunter and Bobby have been living with us there, and you can have them back now.
Yeah, there hasn't even been a mention of them.
No, I know. I miss those guys. Those were good. Well, there's an opportunity now for them to come back in this next part of the season, because the whole next part of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is all going to be in the S.H.I.E.L.D. Matrix, in this whatever they're calling it, the world that guy built. Right. So in this, and we already kind of know, there was a preview teaser that was released today that showed Daisy coming to terms with the fact and realizing that, wait a minute, she's living with Ward, he's here, and they're both Hydra agents, and this is a really weird reality that she has to blend into. Right. So, but like I said, there's an opportunity for them to come back as those characters or variations of those characters in this next half of the season, potentially.
Right. At least, 1 or 2 episodes, but then...
Sure.
But then we're only getting them for 1.
Yeah.
Bastards.
Yeah, it's inhuman. I mean, we just, I don't know. We're just gonna have to find our girl power elsewhere, Dave.
Girl power.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
That who's really good?
That was a really bad.
You know who's really good with girl power?
No. That was a really bad segment.
Listen, they're not all going to be winners.
We were talking about a male and a female character, and then you said, and Inhumans, and you said girl power.
But Sky and Mockingbird, they're girl power. They're bringing the heavy on the female persuasions. I'm just trying here. Look, I'm give up though. I'll throw it over to our DC guy. He'll figure this one out.
All right.
Anything for us, John?
Got any really exciting DC news?
No, but I've got something Marvel.
You have something for Marvel? What do you have for Marvel?
Marvel VP of Sales blames diversity for falling comic book sales.
Oh, geez. I think I'd heard about that. That's ridiculous.
That's old news.
But it's 7 hours ago.
It's also ridiculous.
No, but it's something he said a while ago, and it's
It's just circulating as a thing right now. Because here's the thing. Yes, they've changed a lot in the past couple of years with the characters, introduced a lot of new characters, gender bent and race bent a number of characters through mantles being passed and various things. And maybe there's been a drop in sales, but I don't think those new characters, I mean, you have to look at I don't have the numbers. I don't know the numbers, but I know what I like and what I read, and some of those stories have been some of the best stories I've read in a long time. I think that the new Ms. Marvel that they created has been one of the best new characters they've created in a long time. Even the new Moon Girl that they created is a great new character that they've introduced. I think they're failing is in some of their choices in story arcs. I don't think the Civil War II hit well. I don't think that the Inhumans versus X-Men, made any friends. I think there's just been some story arcs that they have chosen to do that have not won them any any fans.
I think it's a mixture of things because, number one, it's crossover fatigue. I mean, I really think the readers are getting tired of the giant crossovers.
And I think they would have learned about that. We've been through this cycle before.
Right. Like some people want to just go be able to pick up this month's Spider-Man and be able to read it and not have to worry about having read 10 other comics before it to understand what's going on in that story.
They open up like, he's fighting Electro this week. That's interesting. Cool.
But
Electro. Yeah, go on.
But I also kind of think that there was a big fallout from their the Secret Wars 2 event where there are people that feel there was too much change quickly.
Well, that was huge. I mean, so the first Secret Wars, it was something you could follow. Like back in the 80s, like there was this event where all these heroes were brought together and some villains, and they had to but they were themselves fighting. You knew that they were pulled from Earth to fight in these battles, and you knew what was going on there. The second Secret Wars event, I read through the majority of those comics, and first of all, it was not well explained up front what was going on. Basically, the entire thing was in Elseworlds, and you didn't know until you got closer and closer to the end what the whole premise was. Like it was people were blindsided by this setup of like, wait a minute, where's all the regular stuff I've been reading? All of a sudden, everyone seems to be in these weird pocket worlds in this battle world, and it doesn't make any sense. And I have to follow all of this to make any sense of it. And that I think I can see how that put bad taste in people's mouths, because it was a lot to follow. It was a lot to process. And yeah, I'm a fan of the Elseworlds and what if type things here and there, but like they basically gave up their entire story runs for this and only this for like a year.
We went from, Spider-Man, Peter Parker in 616 and Miles in the Ultimate and then other pocket universes with Spider-Gwen or whatever, weird little offshoots that were just supposed to be what-if stories. They weren't supposed to be, permanent mainstay characters.
Continuity.
But because they were popular for a hot minute, okay, now let's get all the Spider-Men and Spider-Women and put them together now on one Earth and make that work.
Yeah.
And it's like...
And to be fair, like the Spider-Verse story itself was great. But this mashing everything together and trying to just... it's spider salad and this is going to work.
Right.
It's you need to explain these things better. You need to give reasons and impetus to these types of decisions. Otherwise, the audience isn't just going to naturally follow.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, if they had brought it in where they just brought Miles over to the 616 universe and they allowed Peter Parker to retire with Mary Jane and had Miles take over, I think most fans would have been okay with that.
Yeah.
But no, they decided let's have everyone. And of course, the devil still erased their Mary Jane and Peter's marriage. And it's just like...
Well, it's right. And they're only making things more complicated because there's now officially two Spider-Men that Miles Morales is out there doing his thing. There's, Peter actually can have a life. And instead of having a life, he's trying to run a giant business, and actually has the Prowler body doubling for him half the time. So there's technically 3 Spider-Men out there, and he's still running thin.
Yes.
And then now it's dovetailed into the whole weird new clone saga. It's just become a wibbly wobbly timey wimey mess.
Exactly. Right. No, so, I mean, and because there's people that are arguing that they're doing diversity for the sake of diversity, where it's just like, I don't think that's true. I think they're trying to write good storylines to explain these characters.
I don't even care if they are doing diversity for the sake of diversity, as long as the characters make sense and are
that's
not.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
and they're doing a good job at that.
We have, it's a mess. That's the problem. So it's just
that's the part it's not the diversity that's causing the problems. It's the trying to make everything into one giant stew and expecting everyone to be able to eat it all.
Yeah.
It just isn't working. And
again, I think if they had done I think that if they had thought it through and done it a little slower and made changes, not because it just feels like they bloom, they made all these changes at once, and there was some blowback, and there are people who are complaining like, too many changes.
Sure.
But again, as we've discussed many times on the show, there are properties. So eventually, a lot of them are going to revert back to their original property.
Right. And there's always going to be people who complain about choices that are made. Like, there are people who complained about the Superior Spider-Man thing. But those people left Spider-Man for a while and came back when he reverted back to normal. And I read that run and it was actually really good. There are people who also were up in arms about the whole, Hydra Captain America thing. And that's still an ongoing thing, but eventually it'll work itself out somewhere along the line.
Right.
And people will be able to rejoin and be happy with Cap again. But, not every story is for every person. And they shouldn't expect that every comic fan isn't going to buy every title and keep up with every story.
Right. I think the only change that bothers me is the whole, and I know you're probably going to disagree with me, the whole Artemis Chow taking over as the Hulk.
Amadeus Cho. Yeah, I get your concern with that. It is a very different Hulk, and if you're a Hulk fan, not your Hulk. I get it. I think it's interesting, but just because I've never been, I've enjoyed the Hulk over the years, but I also have not, it's not one of my go-to comics, and I do feel like they've played out his whole duality saga quite sufficiently on a number of different fronts. So I think I'm enjoying, or was enjoying at least, I've kind of fallen off on reading a lot of this stuff, was enjoying for a while, that different arc, that different take on someone else struggling with that set of issues in a different way.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have preferred they just end the Hulk. End his story. Finally end his suffering somehow and just end it. Instead of, oh no, now we're gonna give this other guy the powers. We're gonna kill Bruce Banner and we'll change the conflict between Hulk and his host a little bit.
They're gonna bring him back.
Technically they did end it. They did the Hulk as the last person on the planet. Unfortunately, it doesn't count because it was an alternate reality.
Yeah, well, they did the thing. I get what you're saying. They did, they gave him peace, and then they killed him after, a while later when it seemed like he might turn into the Hulk again. And so Bruce Banner had a period of peace of not being the Hulk, and now he's peace permanently until they resurrect him, because they will.
Yes.
But the thing is, even with everything else he did, he was not the one and only Hulk left on Earth anyway. His cousin was still running around. There was most of the other ones he did depower in one of his later runs when he was being Doc Green. But they're not all gone, and there's new ones popping up. So there's never going to not be any Hulks. I get what you're saying, but it's a winning property. They're not gonna. It's a business. They're not gonna not have a Hulk,
right,
in any form.
No, that's true. So, wow, we went on a wild tangent.
Yeah, we did.
On something that John brought up.
Yeah,
when we were trying.
John brought up a Marvel thing.
I know.
I like this. I like just lobbing them out there and then letting you guys explode.
Yeah. You have to answer for this nerd podcast mafia, Dave. You fingered our podcast to be associated with Dork of All Trades and Geek Yogurt.
Ben, you got it all wrong.
Ah, that little farce you played with old Johnny. You think that'll fool the beard?
It's innocent. I swear on our podcast.
Sit down.
Please, the Nerd Podcast Mafia. They're good people. A respectable group of like-minded podcasts that support and promote each other. I listen to So Wizard and Fans on Patrol all the time, and there are a number of other great podcasts in the mix. Just check them out at nerdpodcastmafia.com for yourself.
You make me an offer I cannot refuse.
Thank you. Now leave the cape. Take a cannoli. But you missed, I can't believe you didn't see the news on this.
Squirrel Girl?
You really want that to happen. You'll get that someday, John. Someday.
Okay, so who would be your dream person to write and direct a Squirrel Girl movie?
Or any movie, really. Any superhero movie. Who would be your go-to, John?
I Well, it'd be
You're
between.
dreamcasting.
Wait, dreamcasting or
Dreamcasting writer / director / producer to create some new property that no one else has touched.
You see, most people go with Spielberg. I could say Roger Corman, but that would be a very weird one. Although he did do the Fantastic Four, it is the best of all of them so far.
That's a very low bar to cross.
True, but still. And if you saw his version, which was never released, it actually had a fairly coherent storyline with character development. So something we still haven't gotten yet from the majors.
All right, but let's say
okay. So J. Michael Straczynski or or Jim Butcher or
He doesn't even do movies.
Not yet.
but he can freaking write.
That's true.
You know, and so can R.A. Salvatore.
Okay. Well, you went off on a lot of weird different tangents that we weren't expecting. What would you say if Joss Whedon were to come back into the movie, the superhero movie realm?
I'd say that they finally sprung for his pot medication to keep him going.
So,
Well,
I mean,
what would you
he
say if
left
he was
because they were
moved to the other
running around.
side, though?
Wait, if he's going to DC,
Yeah.
I can live with that.
Well, it's happening, supposedly. He is supposedly slated to write, direct, and produce a Batgirl movie.
Can he also do the music?
Yes, it'll be a musical.
No. It's gonna be.
Let's talk about the musical part.
It's gonna be the same guy.
I know.
It's the same guy who's gonna be doing the Wonder Woman music. How's that? It's not who you think it is because
It's not who you think it is.
he's not doing superhero movies anymore. He said that.
Right. He bailed.
So
But anyway.
So Josh Whedon is doing a Batgirl movie.
Right.
Wow,
Supposedly
did it take
based
us a long
on
time
the-
to get there?
Based on the new 52 version of Batgirl, which I know nothing about because I don't read any DC comics.
So essentially, it's she's Batgirl again, and she was healed.
It's post-Oracle.
Right, it's post-Oracle, so it means that she was shot through the spine by Joker and did live in a wheelchair for years, and then she comes back as Batgirl. So
So they sent her to a hole on a remote island and
Yep. That's what you got to do. And she has to climb her way out, and then she's all better.
because Tahiti's a magical place. So, but yeah, so she'll have that baggage in the movie, which is interesting, right?
Yeah, well, it kind of fits with what they've framed because Batman is not young in the movies that they have him in right now. Like Ben Affleck is supposed to be an older, aged, experienced version of Batman, so it only makes sense that if he's been around the block, then Batgirl has to be established as well. So I get it. It's interesting. I'm very optimistic for it just because Joss Whedon is involved. And I know that he did get burned out doing Age of Ultron, and that kind of got a little away from him. But at the same time, he has created some of the best things that exist.
But that's another question, right? Like, he walked away from Marvel because he was tired of them, saying, oh, you got to put this and this in the movie.
Yeah.
But by the same token, that's technically what's tying all of Marvel's movies together and making their property so, attractive.
What I'm
They
going
made him responsible for the connective tissue. And that's
but with the exception of dives into just out of nowhere pools to go on Visions.
and that wasn't a scene that didn't work the way
exactly.
it was put in. But in the same token, Warner Brothers is not known for keeping their hands off of their directors and their writers as they're trying to make movies.
You are correct on that point.
Exactly.
However, I think the big difference here is that with Joss Whedon with Marvel, he was doing the Avengers movies. And note, there has not actually been an Avengers movie since the ones he's made. They've all been other movies. Some of them have been pretty damn close to Avengers movies, but they've been technically Captain America movies. But the point is that these ensemble movies are a much bigger animal, and he bit off way more than he could chew with Age of Ultron. He tried to tackle something monumental in a single film, And I think that's probably what got to him more than anything else, even though the studio probably was saying, hey, you need to tie into this, this, and this. I think that was secondary. I think that was not really the things that burned him out.
But if that burned him out, who else could have done it where they wouldn't have wound up, running away from all of this? I mean, who seriously, if it wasn't for him, it probably wouldn't have been as good as it definitely wouldn't have been as good as it was.
Yeah, well,
nobody else could have pulled that off.
You say that, but the Russo brothers are pulling off some pretty damn epic things, in his stead, and I have some faith in them.
So
yeah, but there's two of them, so
that's true. It does make a difference.
Well, this is also the same studio, and we haven't talked about this news item on the show, but it is related. Warner Brothers is the same studio that has called for a page 1 rewrite, which means it's a total rewrite of the Batman script.
Yeah.
That was written by an Academy Award-winning writer, Ben Affleck, and Jeff Johns, who is arguably the best Batman writer in the comics.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers said, now let's rewrite the whole thing.
They're going to screw this up. They're going to pull a Fox on this.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't...
No, they're going to pull a Warner Brothers on this, because they invented the move.
I know, but they're doing it to Joss. That makes it a Fox.
So right, exactly. That makes me nervous. I mean, I would want to see how he handles this. And, I mean, we're getting this news and we're all excited and we're like, yay! And then 6 months from now or a year from now when he has the script written, what's going to happen,
Yeah. And it may end up going the way that his Wonder Woman script went.
Right. So who do you think would play Batgirl?
I don't even know. Like, that's really hard. I don't know. It's really hard to peg. Like, this
Lindsay
far
Lohan.
out. No. Please, no. Don't even... I can't even joke about that.
I thought you wanted Warner Brothers to succeed, or DC to succeed.
No, I want them to tank. I'm done.
Well, let's put it this way. Anyone who's been in the movies that have tanked is up for grabs, right? Like, anyone from the, people who are young enough to fit into these things, who were in, say, any of the previous Sony run or Fox run films are fair game, right?
Right.
What about Emma Stone?
She can't sing.
She was arguably the one of the better highlights in those Amazing Spider-Man movies, regardless of writing. Like, she did the parts as well as she possibly could have done those parts as Gwen Stacy. So she's got the acting chops, clearly. I think she could make a decent Batgirl.
Though I agree with her ability, I kind of wonder because again, we don't know what they're going to be going for, and again, so now we're going to have a slightly older Batgirl. Is she too young? I don't know how old Emma Stone is.
She's in
she's in her late 20s at this point, I would imagine. And also, does she look like she could be the daughter of J.K. Popeye Simmons?
That's a good question too.
Oh, okay, what about Chloe Grace Moretz? Hit Girl. I mean,
I know. I know.
Hit Girl.
Maybe she definitely has the athletic chops for it because she can do the moves from doing those types of things. But I don't know. Maybe I just feel like she would be a very typical choice for that type of role.
Right.
Yeah, but she has some acting chops.
Yeah.
Or Summer Glau.
Maybe. I think she's. I don't know. It's possible. She always seemed a little weird to me.
She's a Terminator. Of course she's weird.
Yeah.
Oh, dear God. Who else?
I mean, it's an interesting thought, though, because you just said J.K. Simmons is not a spring chicken. So you kind of have to believe that this person is his daughter, and you can't bring in a 22-year-old to play a 60-year-old's daughter.
No, but you also don't want to go with someone who's in their mid-30s. I think you want someone who's right in that, 27 to 33 range.
Jennifer
Lawrence? Is that what you said?
Yes.
I think she's actioned out her... I think she needs to take a requisite staycation from anything action-related for, the next 5 years. I think she needs to only do, period dramas and romantic comedies. Just
You're
for
sending
a
her
couple
to the Cannes Film Festival is what you're saying.
Right, exactly. I'm just saying, like, she's played she's give other people a chance for some action roles. Like, she's done Katniss, she's done Mystique. Just rest for a bit. Take in those residuals and do something else.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like suggesting Scarlett Johansson.
Right.
Well, you know who can sing? Anakin.
She can, you're right. Actually, I wouldn't be against that casting. That would be decent. I don't know. I'd have to think about this some more. There's a lot of opportunities, a lot of options.
Emma Stone does sing in La La Land.
That's true.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
She's okay. I mean, she's okay.
I'm sure there was auto-tuning involved there as well.
Yeah.
So it'll be an interesting road, at least for the next year, as announcements come out for this.
Yeah. I mean, at least we have stuff to watch on TV in the meantime.
Do we? Are you sure?
Well, I mean, there's still some shows, from what I understand. They're even making some new ones.
Okay, but aren't there any other movies coming out?
Well, yeah, there's other movies coming out. I'm just saying, we're talking about movies that are way out there on the timeline. There are definitely other things we can watch before those movies are actually available to us.
Oh, okay. I thought we were going to talk about the new Justice League trailer.
We could, if you wanted to.
You skipped over that.
I didn't open that link, so I forgot about it.
I tried to forget about it, but I didn't have enough bourbon.
Yeah.
So
no, we can talk about that, Dave.
So there's been a lot of interesting reactions since that trailer has come out. I've heard people that were like, like John and us who are starting to write off the DC extended universe, who've come out and are like, oh, I don't know, this trailer kind of made me excited again for Justice League. And there are other people who are like, yeah, no, the trailer doesn't make any sense.
No, and that's the thing. It's not a trailer. It's a long teaser. And so people get excited about this because they're getting excited by shiny things and pretty colors. Like, there's no substance to this trailer. There's nothing that tells you what this is going to be about, what the story is, what you're supposed to be engaged in. And again, I don't expect it to at this earliest stage. That's still that movie's still a little ways out. But, it served the purpose it was supposed to serve. It's basically, tantamount to that first, Force Awakens trailer. That didn't tell us anything plot point wise either. No. It showed us some new characters. It showed us some new droids and vehicles, but it didn't tell us any plot points. And similarly, this didn't tell us anything plot wise either, other than to just show off some characters and some witty banter. And I don't expect anything more from it at this stage. But you can't give it an up-down, vote based on that. I mean, if it was really bad, you could definitely give it a down vote. But I don't think it was bad enough to do that, but it also wasn't substantial enough to say it's going to be good.
But you just described the trailers for the Man of Steel and for Batman v Superman.
Right. I'm saying they all fit into that same ilk, that they're just putting out enough content to whet your palate and show you what these guys are going to look like without telling you what they're going to be like.
They're showing you pretty pictures to get you excited.
Exactly. Like, look at this pretty armor, and look at this pretty boob armor, and look at this pretty wet guy with the trident, and things like that.
I swear, if you look at it through the eyes of, well, say, somebody who's mentally disturbed, say, me, for instance, you can almost see this as like, it's almost like the Wizard of Oz. You've got Wonder Woman, Dorothy. You've got the Tin Man, Cyborg. You've got the Lion, which I'm thinking is Batman.
Aquaman? No, I think the Cowardly Lion is Aquaman. He's got
who's
the main.
Scarecrow?
That would be Batman.
Well,
Batman.
Yeah,
Batman's the Scarecrow.
Because he's fought the Scarecrow. Okay, there you go.
Right. Look, you pigeonhole sometimes. And the Flash is Toto.
because he has all the power and yet never does anything.
Yeah. So I have a tangent here that I have a little soapbox that I'd like to step up onto for just a moment here.
Please.
When it comes to these trailers.
Uh-huh.
So we got this trailer. Whatever day that was last week at some point, this trailer came out, this 2.5 minute trailer, right?
Right.
But for several days before this trailer came out, we got 15-second teasers.
Right.
About like the individual characters in this movie as palette wetters for this trailer. And I don't know whose marketing idea this whole schema is of this, like, these little aperitif 15-second amuse-bouche, like, things that they're throwing at us, but it sucks, and it's gotta stop, and I don't like it, and it's bull. It's a bunch of bull. Just show us a damn trailer. Don't give us teasers for the freaking trailers. It's just ridiculous and dumb, and cut it out.
Well, according to you, they're giving us teasers for teasers because it's really not a trailer.
Exactly. And it's unnecessary, and it's just, it's crude and rude, and it's gotta stop.
Well, it just shows you the mindset of Warner Brothers. They're not making movies. They're making entertainment structures upon which they can hang all of their advertising, pull-ins for. It's just they're not.
So why is
dealing with
Batman not decorated like a NASCAR race driver yet?
Well, he's almost to the point where Ben Affleck can't move a muscle because of the size of the costume.
Yeah.
And look what they did with the Flash, for crying out loud. So, it looks like Cyborg's going to be completely CGI for almost the entire thing.
Yeah, that was one of the things that kind of annoyed me with the trailer because it was palpable. And granted, it's a teaser trailer. They're probably not. It's not finished. It's not finished.
But then even CGI at its best today, human beings can still tell. You still got that niggling back in mind saying this is fake.
Yeah, I mean there's a scene it's just for like a quick second. He's like turning his head, but the CGI part of his head isn't moving at the same rate as his actual head is, and it's just like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
But even if it's not finished, they never quite get the expression right.
Yeah, it's the micro expressions. It's the little things that you can't capture through even the best motion capture gear they have on the planet right now. Like, it's just, we're not there yet. And we talked about this even, with Rogue One. They had similar issues there. Like, it was good, but it wasn't 100%.
They targeted.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we'll see. The jury's still out on this one. I do think that the marketing gimmick is bullshit, and I don't want to see them do it anymore. But we can't really say yay or nay whether this is going to be good.
And another thing some people were saying is when you see Cyborg flying, and then all of a sudden that helmet pops up over his face, and was like, that's such an Iron Man thing. Like, they couldn't come up with...
but Iron Man's got arms.
Right.
Real ones.
But, couldn't they come up with something a little more original?
Face mask is a face mask. Like, how do you do that differently?
Just don't give him a face mask.
Okay. He still has skin. He's got to be protected.
Damn.
All right.
But not during a fight,
He's okay. I'm not gonna nitpick this. It's not worth it. Moving on.
But it's there and it's teasing you. It's
saying John. I mean, it's saying Ben, pick on me, please pick on me.
Nope, not gonna do it. I'm gonna go enjoy my television.
Just like a bat. I can dig it.
Well,
good thing we let you write the jokes, Dave.
Yeah.
So
that's what I picture someone from Atlanta saying. That's all I'm saying.
Yes. Okay. Well, is there anything else exciting for us to be looking forward to, potentially, from the world of DC?
There is a new television series coming to joining the CW, and it's Black Lightning, and they revealed his costume.
They did. And it has lightning on it, and it's black.
Yes.
The lightning's not black.
No, the lightning's silver instead of yellow.
It's kind of whitish. I don't know. It's weird. It does seem like they're going with the armorish costuming for them, which I say it's. So what's going to be interesting about this is, and what I don't think we really know right now, is so they're introducing yet another character to the CW-verse. But the CW-verse is already kind of split. You have the Legend-verse, and you have the Supergirl universe, are two coexisting parts of the multiverse. And granted, the clip's all over the place and weird things going as it is, but we don't know right now whether this is going to be in one or the other, or in either, and maybe some third version. None of it's been kind of revealed yet, and I kind of think that makes a difference in what kind of expectations put behind. Because if he's a metahuman who's established and has been a superhero for a while, to the extent that he has nearly a dogs who also have powers, that's going to be weird to introduce into the the larger of those two universes, and be like, oh yeah, the way you guys over in Star City, and essentially we've been here the whole time.
Right. Remember when those aliens invaded and we didn't come out and help you?
Right. It's like, sorry about that. We had some other things we were dealing with then.
But
I'm sorry, I'm still seeing this as, the working title should be Black Lightning. I know I'm not Static, but
he's grown up Static.
Yes.
Static with kids.
But maybe one of the kids is Static.
No, he has two daughters, and they're basically lightning and thunder.
That's right. But let me postulate this at you.
Mm-hmm.
Barry screws with the timeline yet again.
That would never happen.
Have you been watching?
It was a joke. Sarcasm.
Barry screws with the timeline yet again and creates another splinter. And this time, Malfoy disappears like he never existed, but Black Lightning shows up.
And he's been there the whole time.
Like,
hey guys, what's new this week?
He also hates Barry.
Yes, well,
bitch.
Every new character has to hate Barry. I think that's a rule.
Yeah, that's kind of you introduce a new guy, he's got to hate Barry, obligatorily for a period of time, until he gets to know him, in which case you'd think he'd hate him more, but they tend to like him instead. I don't know. It doesn't add up to me.
And then they erase him because,
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Maybe he'll have to be satire.
Oh, no.
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 They wouldn't do that.
No.
they have... Actually, you know what? Barry doesn't have to do it. Why am I just thinking of this? Barry doesn't have to do it. Because you know what can do it?
What?
What is it? Cripes.
Sphere of Destiny?
Yes, the Sphere of Destiny.
It's funny that you said cripes just then.
Yeah.
Given the object in particular that you were referring to.
Yes.
Dave appreciated that one.
Oh, it took a second for it to register as well, but yes.
Click, yeah.
Yeah, the Spirit of Destiny could,
render asunder the universe and then recreate it to have, this guy appears now and exists.
Right.
Well, they're about to bring it back, so who knows? I mean,
right. They're crossing their own stream to get the one thing that they said they could never do, and they're going and doing it in order to retrieve the Spear of Destiny. Like, that's the best story arc they could come up with on that. I don't know. It doesn't work for me. It's a little like they were so good. So much of the season was so good.
Yeah.
And I know we're not really talking about this right now, but that twist irks me.
Actually, you know what irked me the most, and it's gonna sound silly, is the fact that they didn't resolve it in one episode. Because then it's like, well, wait, why isn't there bleed over on the Flash and Arrow and
Well, they killed Felicity Smoke in the first 5 seasons.
But on the actual shows.
I see what you're saying, yes. We don't have any alternate reality versions of the Flash episodes concurrently happening. I know what you're saying. But, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm willing to forgive that just because I'm chalking it up to this essentially being like Flashpoint. It's essentially a pocket reality that once they resolve it, will resolve itself, and there won't be any repercussions in Flash. So
because it'll be as if it never happened.
Right. So they don't need to display any repercussions in Flash.
I know, and then you also have to bring up other questions like, well, wait, if they changed this reality, did anyone go over to see Supergirl during this time for her to help? And did it change her reality? Because if they talked to Supergirl, it's two different universes when she would have been, hey, what's going on? This isn't right. This isn't right. This isn't right in your world.
Yeah.
And they would have figured it out.
But Sphere of Reality, Sphere of Reality, the Sphere of Destiny trumps that because it rewrites all of reality, not just one universe.
Yeah. So, but again,
but that doesn't make sense because how can they rewrite universes they don't know exist?
Because timey-wimey stuff, okay? Jeez.
So here's the way I'm justifying it in my head. Yes, the Spear of Destiny's reality-changing effects would have impacted all of these worlds, and justifiably would have created this pocket version, this alternate version of events where Supergirl never met the Flash, where the Flash was affected however he was affected in that whole, realm of things. All of those things would have occurred. But with the events of the next episode that will happen later this week, they'll have fixed all of that. That reality would have never happened, and everything would have been back to the way that it currently is, and they still would have had to go through the drama they're going through right now. So to waste time on those Elseworld versions of those particular shows takes away from the plot lines of those other shows. And it's doing exactly the thing that we were saying was the problem with Marvel Comics. And so, therefore, I'm glad they didn't do it.
Damn you. And your logic.
Aha! Hoisted by your own petard.
Yes, my petard is sore. Wait.
Yes.
All right.
Wear it in
But eventually, Black Lightning will join them.
Eventually it will, somehow. I'm just really curious how that's going to fit in to the world they've built, whether he'll be part of it or separate. I don't know. And if he's part of it, how that'll be explained.
I was hoping he was going to join the Fox first and just kill everyone in Gotham. But
now that I could get behind. That I would love to see him just wipe out all of Gotham and let him start fresh. Greenfield, brand new, like even new Bruce Wayne from the beginning, from the top. Start all over.
Take it from the top.
Yep. Just erase that reality from ever existing. But anyway, I digress.
Yes. So. Oh man, yes. And speaking of realities, I have no more stories.
Yes.
Neither do I.
Yeah. So it seems the reality is calling to us.
Yes.
To leave this lovely world of podcastum.
And I'll go back to watching Rick and Morty.
Yes.
I'm going to my reaction to so there.
Do you watch anything original, John? Just reaction things?
No. I just finished off Exorcist, the second season, this past weekend.
Okay.
And
how about I have an idea. I'll watch all these react videos that you watch, and I'll post some reaction videos to those reaction videos so that you have additional content to watch.
And then I will post reactions to your reaction videos.
It's already been done, and if you did do that, you'd also have to do the reaction videos where you react to a conglomeration of all the reaction videos for a specific video.
Yep, I'll get right on that.
Then you need to play that at a Comic-Con and get an audience reaction to it.
Actually, what we need to do is actually have a reaction video to us learning that cookies and cream Oreos exist.
I'd rather do a video on me eating the cookies.
Oh, well, there you go. We can do that.
I have a reaction to that.
I've got a really nice recipe for Avalanche, and involves a lot of liquor, of course. But normally I have to mix a lot of vanilla bean ice cream and Oreos. But with this, I'll probably only need a few.
Yeah.
You know what happens in an avalanche sometimes?
You get your. I hope you're not wearing a cape while you're in an avalanche.
You get to have a free drink because the dog that comes to save you.
No, Ben was on the right track there.
You get your skis caught in the snow.
Yes, because if you're wearing a cape, imagine if like a boulder came along, you could get you trapped.
You could use that as a parachute though at that point and sort of glide away.
You guys are reaching so hard right now. You're just reaching so hard.
Look, I work with the material I have in front of me. And right now, that material is Dave. So.
You must turn away from the screen and stop watching Dave. It's just not helping.
So anyway, as the snowball chases us down this mountain into the abyss, I guess we should find a door
and
for safety and
try not hold the door
and hold the door and try not to get our cape caught in it.
Yes. So all together, let's not get our capes caught in the door. Have a good week.
Yes.
Are you strong enough to stop a stupid movie rumor?
Are you more powerful than a bad comic book event?
Are you able to waste hours of time asking stupid questions to people who have got absolutely nothing better to do?
Then join the conversation by connecting with us on Facebook, Twitter, Slack, and other social media platforms.
And help us get our capes from getting stuck in the door by becoming an official Patreon patron.
And if you just want more content from us, don't forget to check out our website where we post way more than we can discuss here.
So what are you waiting for? When you join our fight, everyone wins.